Find a way to take the tribes that you're in and nudge them forward along these tribal stages to what we call stage 5, which is the top of the mountain. But we're going to start with what we call stage 1. Now, this is the lowest of the stages. You don't want this, okay? This is a bit of a difficult image to put up on the screen, but it's one that I think we need to learn from. Stage 1 produces people who do horrible things. This is the kid who shot up Virginia Tech. Stage 1 is a group where people systematically sever relationships from functional tribes and then pool together with people who think like they do. Stage 1 is literally the culture of gangs, and it is the culture of prisons. Now again, we don't often deal with stage 1, and I want to make the point that as members of society, we need to. It's not enough to simply write people off. But let's move on to stage 2. Now, stage 1, you'll notice, says, in effect, life sucks. So my colleague, Steve Zaffron, and I argue that as people see the world, so they behave. Well, if people see the world in such a way that life sucks, then their behavior will follow automatically from that. It'll be despairing hostility. They'll do whatever it takes to survive, even if that means undermining other people. Now, my birthday is coming up shortly, and my driver's license expires. And the reason that that's relevant is very soon I will be walking into what we call a stage 2 tribe, which looks like this. Now, am I saying that in every department of motor vehicles across the land you find a stage 2 culture? No. But in the one near me, where I have to go in just a few days, what I will say when I'm standing in line is, how can people be so dumb and yet live? Okay. Now, am I saying that there are dumb people working here? Actually, no, I'm not. But I'm saying the culture makes people dumb, okay? So in a stage 2 culture, and we find these in all sorts of different places. You find them, in fact, in the best organizations in the world. You find them in all places in society. I've come across them at, the organizations that everybody raves about as being best in class. But here's the point. If you believe and you say to people in your tribe, in effect, my life sucks, if that's how you talk, imagine what kind of work would get done, what kind of innovation would get done, the amount of world-changing behavior that Now, when we go on to stage 3, this is the one that hits closest to home for many of us, because it's in stage 3 that many of us move and we park and we stay. Stage 3 says, I'm great, and you're not. I'm great, and you're not. Now imagine having a whole room of people saying, in effect, I'm great and you're not, or I'm going to find some way to compete with you and come out on top as a result of that. A whole group of people communicating that way, talking that way. I know this sounds like a joke, 3 doctors walk in a bar, but in this case, 3 doctors walk in an elevator, happen to be in the elevator collecting data for this book, and one doctor said to the others, did you see my article in the New England Journal of Medicine? And the other said, no, that's great, congratulations. Next one got kind of a wry smile on his face and said, well, you were, doing your research. Notice the condescending tone. Well, you were off doing your research. I was off doing more surgeries than anyone else in the Department of Surgery at this institution. And the third one got the same wry smile and said, well, you were off doing your research, and you were off, doing your monkey meatball surgery that eventually will train, monkeys to do, or cells or robots, or maybe even not even need to do at all. I was off running the future of the residency program, which is really the future of medicine. And they all kind of laughed, and they patted him on the back, and the elevator door opened, and they all walked out. That is a meeting of a stage 3 tribe. Now, we find these in places where really smart, successful people show up. Here's the greatest challenge we face in innovation. It is moving from stage 3 to stage 4. Let's take a look at a quick video snippet. This is from a company called Zappos, located outside Las Vegas. And my question on the other side is just going to be, what do you think they value?
Zappos
it was not
headquarters.
Christmas time. There was a Christmas tree.
There's actually a Dance Revolution.
This is their lobby.
Terminal. Right.
Okay, we're going through the hallway here at Zappos. This is a call center. Notice how it's decorated. Notice people are applauding for us. They don't know who we are, and they don't care, and if they did, they probably wouldn't applaud. You'll notice the level of excitement. Notice, again, how they decorate their office. Now, what's important to people at Zappos, these may not be the things that are important to you, but they value things like fun, and they value creativity. One of their stated values is be a little bit weird. And you'll notice they are a little bit weird, okay? So when individuals come together and find something that unites them that's greater than their individual competence, then something very important happens. The group gels, and it changes from a group of highly motivated but fairly individually centric people into something larger, into a tribe that becomes aware of its own existence. Stage 4 tribes can do remarkable things, but you'll notice we're not at the top of the mountain yet. There is, in fact, another stage. Now, some of you may not recognize the scene that's up here, and if you take a look at the headline of Stage 5, which is Life is Great, this may seem a little incongruous. This is a scene or a snippet from the Truth and Reconciliation process in South Africa, for which Desmond Tutu won the Nobel Prize. Now, think about that. South Africa, terrible atrocities had happened in the society, and people came together focused only on those two values, truth and reconciliation. There was no roadmap. No one had ever done anything like this before. And in this atmosphere where the only guidance was people's values and their noble cause, what this group accomplished was historic, largely because people like Desmond Tutu set up a Stage 5 process to involve the thousands and perhaps millions of tribes in the country to bring everyone together. So people hear this and they conclude the following, as did we in doing the study. Okay, got it. I don't want to talk Stage 1. That's like, life sucks. Who wants to talk that way? I don't want to talk like they do with the particular DMV that's close to where Dave lives. I really don't want to just say I'm great because that kind of sounds narcissistic and then I won't have any friends. Saying we're great, that sounds pretty good, but I should really talk Stage 5, right? Life is great. Well, in fact, there are 3 somewhat counterintuitive findings that come out of all this. In fact, Martin Luther King's most famous line was at Stage 3. He didn't say, we have a dream. He said, I have a dream. Why did he do that? Because most people are not at Stage 5. 2% are at Stage 1. About 25% are at Stage 2, saying, in effect, my life sucks. 48% of working tribes say, these are employed tribes, say, I'm great, and you're not, and we have to duke it out every day, so we resort to politics. Only about 22% of tribes are at Stage 4, oriented by our values, saying we're great, and our values are beginning to unite us. Only 2% of tribes get to Stage 5, and those are the ones that change the world. So the first little finding from this is that leaders need to be able to talk all the levels so that you can touch every person in society. But you don't leave them where you found them, okay? Tribes can only hear one level above and below where they are. So we have to have the ability to talk all the levels to go to where they are. And then leaders nudge people within their tribes to the next level. I'd like to show you some examples of this. One of the people we interviewed was Frank Jordan, former mayor of San Francisco. Before that, he was chief of police in San Francisco. And he grew up essentially in Stage 1. And you know what changed his life? It was walking into one of these, a boys and girls club. Now, here's what happened to this person who eventually became mayor of San Francisco. He went from being alive and passionate at Stage 1, remember, life sucks, despairing hostility, I will do whatever it takes to survive, to walking into a boys and girls club, folding his arms, sitting down in a chair and saying, wow, my life really sucks. I don't know anybody. I mean, if I was into boxing like they were, then my life wouldn't suck, but I don't, so it does. So I'm going to sit here in my chair and not do anything. In fact, that's progress. We move people from Stage 1 to Stage 2 by getting them in a new tribe and then over time, getting them connected. Then at the reception tonight, I'd like to encourage you to do something beyond what people normally do and call networking, which is not just to meet new people and extend your reach and extend your influence, but instead find someone you don't know and find someone else you don't know and introduce them. That's called a triadic relationship. See, people who build world-changing tribes do that. They extend the reach of their tribes by connecting them, not just to myself so that my following is greater, but I connect people who don't know each other to something greater than themselves. And ultimately, that's to their values. These thoughts. First of all, We all form tribes, all of us. You're in tribes here. Hopefully you're extending the reach of the tribes that you have. But the question on the table is this: what kind of an impact are the tribes that you are in making? If you do what we've talked about, you listen for how people actually communicate in the tribes that you're in, and you don't leave them where they are, you nudge them forward. You remember to talk all 5 culture stages because we got people in all 5 around us. Then the question I'd like to leave you with is this: will your tribes change the world? Thank you very much.